Hi, welcome to our channel. We're so glad you're here as we document and share our family's journey with autism. Our hope for this channel is to share what we have learned and continue to learn as we navigate the research into autism spectrum disorder and sensory processing disorder, the therapies currently available to what may be on the horizon, and support tools like his weighted compression vest we never leave home without. I hope to connect with other parents and family in this community and to educate and destigmatize autism to those who are not familiar with it. We will welcome questions and answer them truthfully and to the best of our ability, backed by cited medical research, so you have access to the same source materials I do. There should be no stigma or shame attached to autism, but there is, and sunlight is the best disinfectant for those toxic associations. The first time I heard the word autism in association with my son, like many of you, was in the pediatrician's office. In my head, I had an image of what autism looked like from being around other kids on the spectrum, movies, and the media, and Lincoln didn't fit that picture. He was nonverbal at 24 months, but that developmental delay could have been associated with his premature birth or even a problem with his hearing. I left that appointment with a handful of referrals and a ton of questions and concerns. He was referred for an audiology evaluation, speech therapy, and an early intervention program for developmental delays. A toddler time group was offered within the scope of the early intervention program, and so we went. And he had what I later learned was a sensory processing meltdown when the instructor played the song If You're Happy and You Know It. He ran screaming from the room with tears running down his face, and I didn't understand why or how a song could affect him in such a profoundly negative way. With respect to his social skills, I rationalized his lack of interest in other kids as natural for his age. It was almost like he couldn't see other kids around him during play groups or at the playground. He did express a desire to interact and engage and play with us, his parents, so we thought it was more of a preference for us at the time. When allowed screen time, he wouldn't watch most toddler-type videos on YouTube. Instead, he would gravitate to these egg videos in Russian and rewind the same 4-second clip over and over and over again. As we left baby food behind, which he never had any problems with, for solid foods, the food-related issues began. He would physiologically gag and shudder at the mere sight of some foods, and because he's nonverbal, I had no idea if it was the smell, sight, or texture on his fingertips that evoked the traumatic and severe responses we were seeing. This was especially troubling because he was a preemie and needed to get a required amount of vitamins, nutrients, and minerals each day. His inability to regulate his emotions at time also concerned us. When he would get upset, he would bash his head into walls or on the tile floor. We felt it was directly tied to his inability to communicate, and it broke our hearts that he was so desperate to feel that we understood him that he physically hurt himself. So our journey has been somewhat isolating, very overwhelming at times, but extremely joyful and rewarding. I feel uniquely qualified to be in this position with my schooling and lived experiences. My bachelor's of science is in biology with a minor in psychology. I spent 3 years post-grad in research at USF. It just so happens that this past Monday, Lincoln had his first genetic consult. They are taking on his case for Marfan syndrome, which I mentioned earlier. It's a genetically inherited connective tissue disorder, but I bring that up here because they asked me if I wanted to have him tested for autism. Now, researchers have known since the 1970s that there is a genetic component to autism. They found this out by studying identical twins with the disorder. However, genetics is not solely responsible for a child's chances of having autism. Environmental factors also contribute to the condition, although researchers disagree on the relative contribution of genes and the environment. By the way, if there is a study or area of research out there that you would like me to go through or help interpret for you, help you understand, please let me know in the comment section. The test Lincoln will be taking is called a chromosomal microarray, or CMA. The great thing about these genetic tests are that they require no blood, only cells from his cheek, called a buccal swab. I will also be going into the genetic test in another video, so I won't get into that here either. Now, regardless of the outcome of these genetic tests, our course of treatment will stay the same. Lincoln's diagnoses include nonverbal autism, sensory processing disorder, a history of seizures, and is currently being evaluated for Marfan syndrome since I have it. In Florida, at least, general pediatricians do not conduct the insurance-approved autism test, and that's a test called ADOS. A pediatric psychologist or a developmental pediatrician typically administer these specialized tests. Lincoln has been on the waiting list for this test for almost 2 years now. It is extremely frustrating that he cannot receive the specialized therapies like ABA or applied behavior analysis therapy that he desperately needs until he receives this test, despite the fact his pediatrician and all of his therapists are in agreement that he is on the spectrum. I'll end with this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share this video and channel with anyone you know who might either benefit from seeing a family that doesn't look like theirs, or one that would by seeing and connecting with a family that does. This will be an interactive community with large enough arms to wrap around everybody. When we support each other, are inclusive with everybody, and lead with love, understanding, and patience, we can affect real change for the special people in our lives.